Well, hello. I'm kind of excited about this. Starting a new class here on campus. My name is Mr. Dorchek, and it's about kinesiology, which I've had a lot of kids over the years that I've been here tell me that's something they're interested in, but I'm not sure everybody really knows what it is. So, kind of want to talk a little bit about what kinesiology is and kind of how I see the class playing out. But this is a dual enrollment class, so you get college credits for these two classes. So you'll end up with 6 total units of college credit at the end of the year by taking these two classes. It also counts as a D-level science for the applications to Cal State and UC schools. So it's a kind of like a double win right there. If you're interested in kind of maybe going this path, even if you're not, if you take it and you're like, it's okay, you still get college credits out of it. And I would also say that this is a great class to take alongside another science class. I'm a big believer in taking chemistry and physics. I feel like it totally gives you a very well-rounded look at science, and depending on what it is you want to do someday, it's really important to have chemistry and physics in your back pocket. I would say, like, if you want to go into engineering, like, physics is super important. If you want to go into like medical fields, and even if you decide you want to go into kinesiology, you're probably going to need to take chemistry in college. So I would definitely still advise kids to look at the other sciences that they can take alongside this. This is another class that you can take the same time you're taking anatomy and physiology, because they kind of mesh together really well. Or if you're taking sports med. So anyway, I think it's a really good option for kids who are interested. Um, in terms of what kinesiology is, it says it's the study of the principles of mechanics and anatomy in relation to human movement. So another reason why I think this is a great class is if you're kind of like not sure what you want to do down the road, we will kind of talk a little more about chemistry, and maybe I can hook a few kids into taking chemistry their senior year if they haven't done it, or physics, the same thing as we get into biomechanics. I would say that having those backgrounds is great for this if you want to make this your major, because there's a lot of different ways that this can splint off depending on what it is you would like to do with it if you do decide to make it your major. If you don't, again, you get 6 units of college credit out of it. So you have to be at least a junior or senior to take the class. You had to have passed biology and some kind of physical science class, okay? So I would say that I am looking for a wide range of kids in this class. I don't want just kids who play sports here. I might kind of start out that way. I would love to get people who are interested in the outdoors, interested in like skating, dance, because all of that can fall underneath the umbrella of kinesiology. Um, so I'm hoping to get kids from all these different backgrounds, and then I want them to take what they know from their sport and their activity, like rock climbing or whatever it is that they're into, and then I want to be able to have them insert kinesiology into it in terms of, for example, the intro class. So the intro class, like, we get into motor learning and motor development, like how you actually learn a new activity, how your body learns it. Like, we're going to get into like the physics of different movements and biomechanics. There's so much software out there now and wearables where they're collecting data. Like, a lot of this is like looking at science with data in the sport. So if you're already interested in a sport, or you're interested in weightlifting and weight training, all of a sudden, like, we want to attach all the science we can to it to maybe enhance your performance, and also to maybe increase your interest in um, in science itself. Because like I was an exercise science major, and that's kind of how I got into teaching science. I didn't know I was going to teach science when I was going through my degree. Those were just the other classes I took. But as I got into my upper division, all of a sudden, like a lot of the stuff I learned in biology and in chemistry, like it totally took a different life. And I really started to kind of reflect back on why it was important to me. So I'm kind of helping to do that for kids who are maybe on a similar path. But obviously, there's a lot of different things here that we're going to be covering. And it's really also to kind of let you look at future career opportunities if you decided to make this your major, whether that's with like coaching or looking at health and nutrition. Obviously, there's the fitness industry, but then there's also these people who work in laboratory settings that study people, how they adapt to exercise or they adapt at different elevations and stuff. Exercise physiologists, people who have to put people through like cardiac tests, like if they're after they had a heart attack. So there's a lot of different medical stuff. I've had buddies who actually went into medicine after this. People who went into became chiropractors. Um, working in um, um, injury stuff, whether you're talking physical therapy or occupational therapy. There's so many ways. It's kind of a general degree, and it really boils down to like what you want to do and the different paths that the different colleges might have within the field of kinesiology, or going and getting a master's degree or a postdoctorate something. So the next slide is just kind of a general thing where it's talking about what is motor learning. It's the study and process involved in acquiring and refining skills. Like, how does your body learn? We're going to go into that. Biomechanics. Like, I'm a baseball guy. I love baseball. There's this. I guess you could call them an organization. I guess it's a business called Driveline, and they study like the biomechanics of hitting and pitching. And like by taking this class, I'm really hoping that if you're into stuff like that, it'll make it more relevant. You'll pull out more information when people like that talk. So biomechanics is the study of the mechanical laws or the physics related to the movement or the structure of your body. Sports psychology, that's another like avenue that you can go down with this, where you try to understand like how to perform better with within the context of whatever environment you're competing in. And even if you decide you don't want to be into that, you can use that in your daily life, just learning about, for example, like the fight or flight response and being able to control your emotions based on whatever it is that you are finding yourself in terms of situations. So anyway, I think the intro to kinesiology is awesome because you can literally get a doctorate in any of those things that I mentioned earlier. And we're just going to barely kind of scratch the surface, and maybe it lights a fire, maybe. The other class is exercise phys, and I think this is super cool because I teach biology, and I used to throw a lot of this stuff in there when I taught biology. I don't want it to be like just like a memorized class. I want it to be like using this information and how it pertains to like how your body adapts physiologically, like how your body actually, gains muscle or burns body fat, what metabolism is, like what's actually happening internally in your body. How can you use that then for your sport? Like, I want to do stuff where we actually do different testing and what that tells you about your body. Looking at things like muscle fiber and like what the actual requirements are, to play at different levels of sport based on things like your 40 time or based on things like, your size. And then you can kind of look at like, if that's something that you want to do where you want to play a college sport, like what is actually required for your position in terms of different tests, and can you train for those tests? And anyway, general adaptation syndrome, like it's like this whole world that I don't think kids necessarily understand even exists just because they work out or they train. Like, they don't understand the science behind what they're doing. And if you understand the science, now all of a sudden, like, it kind of opens you up to a lot of different possibilities in terms of being able to change your own training practices or somebody else's training practices that you might be are working with as a coach, or even like where you might want to go to school someday. And if you kind of look at what they're doing and you can look at the science and you can ask them specific questions, and you can see if whether or not that would be a program that you would be interested in being a part of in terms of continuing your athletics. But and if they're not, then like, what do you need to do on your own to augment that? So anyway, I think this stuff is really interesting and really cool. Um, like, I don't think people realize that there's exercise physiology labs and they do all this testing. Like, this is probably testing like the VO2 max of this cyclist. Um, anyway, like, we're going to look at scientific journals. Like, we haven't really had a chance to do that in science, but like these scientific journals, you can look through people's studies that they put athletes through, like case studies, um, a bunch of um, different literature that I want kids to like pick up and touch for the first time. Looking at procedures, looking at data, what that means. Like, when you actually look at the conclusion or the analysis of data, like, what does that mean versus like, you know, the actual data that's there? And could you come up with different conclusions? Because so often, like when we talk about biology and stuff, we talk about these general things, but you know, this is an opportunity where kids can actually like crunch their own numbers and create their own scientific studies. And I want kids to kind of not like at the level of a scientific journal, but like understand the process of that and being able to present information that way. Um, and then maybe, like I said, if kids are really kind of getting excited about it, maybe that'll hook a kid to decide, you know what, I do want to be a bio major in college, or I do want to be a science major in college and use kinesiology. Because like when I was doing my master's degree, like so many guys and girls within my group were not kinesiology majors for their undergrad. They didn't realize they wanted to do that until later. Um, like they would major in physics and then they want to get their master's in exercise science and then they get their PhD in biomechanics. Like I saw that. Like, and then you learn to think this way. But anyway, I think it's cool because I want to take kids that have a whole bunch of different athletic backgrounds and activities that they enjoy doing. I want to teach them the different general principles of biomechanics and motor learning and physiology. I want them to learn how to research on their own and use research journals. I want them to collect data and then learn how to present that data in a way where they can like express what they did um, to other people. Like they do so much work in their lifting classes here on campus or their private training that they might do on their own. Well, I want kids to take that material and learn how to like maybe not necessarily like publish it in a journal, but maybe they publish it in a way where um, you know, they put it on a blog or something that that they can then use for whatever it is that they want to do within maybe this industry or something else. So um, I want kids to kind of learn about the different professions that's possible out there. Um, and again, I just kind of hope it enhances other classes that they either take in the future or that they're presently taking. So I hope they take chemistry at the same time they're taking this class as a junior, or I hope they take this class the same time that they're taking sports med. We're going to be using next generation science standards for a lot of this. It's this idea of three-dimensional learning where like you take an idea and it's not just like, you know, looking at the facts. I want to be able to insert it into a real world possibility. Um, and I hope to kind of change the way kids see biology, especially, you know, because all the kids have taken biology in order to take this class. And maybe, you know, that when we start talking about nutrition and chemistry, like it makes them look at atoms differently and they realize the importance. Like, you know what, if I want to be a biology major, like I got to take biochem now. And like, anyway, just kind of bringing a lot of things together um, in a different way. So like you live in this environment, and now if you really understand the science behind your sport and your training adaptations and stuff, I think it could be pretty fun. And I think I could learn from a lot of different people who are in sports and things that I don't really know much about, but I understand the science behind like maybe why they train a certain way. So, and I hope that kids can kind of share that back and forth, and yeah, just a different way to use science that I hope maybe is meaningful. So, sorry if I rambled a little bit on this video, but I'm pretty excited about it, and I really hope that we get a lot of kids who want to maybe sign up so we can have a class or two. So, thanks for taking the time.